Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whichever time of the day you are watching this. I'm sorry I've been away for a bit. I had a bit of a holiday, so I'll semi-holiday, let's say, with a bit of work in between. But I thought I wanted to make this video to show you guys that application and the art of using current affairs in your papers is not as daunting as it sounds, especially this is aimed majority at the business report, but it's something you can use throughout, whether you are answering a question in question 4, 5, 6, or 7. Okay. Yes, it does come across a lot more in question 7, but it's something you may use for question 4, 5, and 6 as well. The first thing you've got to do whenever you are researching something like this is you've got to know what is going on around you. Specifically in the clothing industry is the topic we have. Is you've got to know things like what are Shein and Temu. We all know Shein and Temu quite well, so I'm not going to go in depth with that. We all have heard about fast fashion and its importance in ethical business making. Okay, this thing about the sweatshops being run specific, or not, I don't want to say specifically, but quite a lot in the Asian countries, the sweatshops and the young workers and labor laws not being adhered to. Okay. To changing weather cycles. Nowadays, you could talk about the cold in South Africa, that we are in October and we are still experiencing cold winds and cold time periods. So the cold is definitely having an effect on what people are buying. And then more specific things like Edgar's expanding into Zimbabwe. If you go and read up a bit, it's a little thing I read up on, is that Edgar's is looking to expand into Zimbabwe, where they do two things. They're either focusing on quality garments from Turkey or the cheap fast outlet stores. So these are some of the things you've got to know your topic. I took 5 years. Whenever you're studying, choose 5 or 6. Oh, and Bash.com, which is the TFG, the Fashini Group's online website where you can go and look at all of the items under their brand. So these are 5 things, and I'll show you how do we use them. Go to 5, and you're studying your 5 or 6. Try and link them to almost every topic you can think of. Try and link them to HR, try and link them to marketing, try and link them to the business functions, which are all 8. Macro market environment, even if you want to do business environments rather than functions. Corporate governance, insurance and investment. We have got quality control, and we've got ethics, professionalism and ethics. Try and see if you can link it to everyone. Okay? And I'll show you what I mean by that. So, what do I mean by linking it to each topic? Well, let's take Bash.com. I took Bash.com, which I said is the online platform where TFG does all of their sales. How would we link that to HR? Now, there's a couple of ways you could talk about this. Firstly, we need to hire HR, or we need to hire, whatchamacallit, we need to hire IT professionals who built websites before, who can maintain a website and ensure that it goes up and doesn't go down, that it's looked after, and that people are always able to utilize it. Or we can go a different route. We can say, if you're going to hire someone for this, we need to hire someone with experience. So let's do the benchmarking. Let's take benchmarking from quality control and say, who's the benchmark South Africa online retailer? The two biggest online retailers, I would say, is Takealot, which doesn't specialize in clothing, but it specializes in everything, and Superbalist, okay, which have been bought out. I can't remember who bought them out, but someone bought out Superbalist. Um, it's eluding my memory now. But you say, when HR is hiring externally, headhunt the people that built these websites, that have maintained these websites, that have experience working in the online retail sector, and HR needs to be really aware of this change. Okay. Now, do you see we brought in Bash.com, which has got nothing to do with HR, and we've linked HR to that topic. We said, okay, if we have to talk about HR, we can talk about Bash.com. Tick my one box, link these two. Okay. Go into the next box and we think, okay, how can we link marketing in the Bash.com? Well, firstly, it's easy. Bash is an online platform, it's part of Process, it's easier to attain. It's already part of the marketing is the 7Ps. But we think product and promotion, let's put those two together because so the Fashini groups have like things like Total Sports and they've got the Fashinis themselves and there's a whole bunch of things. You'd say that we must make sure that our promotions are not run simultaneously because we're kind of stealing market share from one another. So when one brand like Total Sports is doing a promotion, we need to try and promote that promotion, push that brand. And you can link this to something like the client strategies. If you find that one of your branches is not doing well, then you need to promote that branch on Bash.com. Why? Because they need the exposure. Now we're bringing in the decline strategy. Instead of divesting or divestiture, we are going to say, okay, let's use our marketing strategy. Let's see if we need to market the brands on the Bash.com or Bash app, which is our big app. Let's promote the brands that need exposure. Fusini's in Cresta or in Northgate or in Clearwater are already established. They get their promotions from foot traffic. They got enough foot traffic. But if we find that our little branch in Heathway is struggling, or Heathrow, I almost said Heathway, Blackheath or whatever, is struggling, then we need to push that brand, and then we link promotion and product. We can say pricing. You can say if you order through the online app on Bash and we use our pricing, you get a discount since you've ordered online. We offer promotions like points, like the MySchool app. There we go. Now we've linked Bash and marketing. So do you see, you go through every single one of these and you try and link, how can I link Bash to marketing? How can I link Bash to ethics? How can I link Bash to whatever? And now you've got yourself an idea of, okay, it doesn't matter what they ask, I can use this Bash app. Now we go to investment and insurance. And you've got to think, what are the biggest problems with having an online store? Cybersecurity. So it's not necessarily an insurance we take out. It's not something you can cover, but that you can link back to HR. We need someone who knows cybersecurity. But one insurance that we can bring in here is fidelity insurance. Why? You need to trust whoever's running your website securely that is secure. If they act in an unethical way, you're in the doo-doo, you're in the drain. You're going to struggle with it. Okay, and you're going to struggle with these types of insurances, and you need these types of scenarios, and you need insurance to help cover you. Investment's a little bit trickier, but you can say, who do we need the investment from? We're going to sell shares and we're going to sell. Why not offer a partnership and get tech companies to invest in us? I know we always talk about investment from our standpoint, who do we invest in? But let's flip the script and say, we need to target technopreneurs, as we're teaching in grade 10. Technopreneurs, people who are technically savvy, who are pushing for technology to be used. We need to partner with them. Hey, you can also say that we need to do supplier partnerships with our suppliers. Now we bring in joint ventures, and look, investments are tough on you. Not a lot we can do there with it. Even then, you've got to start thinking a little outside the box, thinking, okay, let's get them to invest in us, not necessarily us investing in them. And now the new thing we can bring in is I'm going to bring in the Zimbabwe. South Edgar's has moved to Zimbabwe. And I'm going to think, how can I link this to ethics and corporate governance? I can say in South Africa, it's easy. We've got Clean Code. Clean Code dictates how we conduct our business in South Africa. However, when moving to a new market, Zimbabwe doesn't have the same laws that we do. They do not have a Clean Code. We've got to go with, and we've got to adhere to their rules about transparency, about accountability, about their integrated reporting dates. Do they run from March to February like we do? Do they run a later time? We've got to do our research. When we're talking about ethics, we've got to make sure that we aren't involved in dumping. So dumping is something we don't teach you, but what dumping is selling our cheap clothes in their market and flooding their market with cheap goods. China are well known for doing it, and it's just one of their things. That's what dumping refers to. We've got to make sure we're not involved in that. We've got to make sure that we are not price gouging, because we know that they are a poorer country, let's say, and we don't want to be involved in trying to exploit that market. And this is where, with corporate governance, we can link in CSR. We need to say that along with expanding into the market, we need to hire Zimbabwean employees. We can't just ship our own unemployed over there. Yes, we want to. That's actually not a bad idea to do. Hey, but we need to establish ourselves in their market. We need to gain their trust. So we need to, with our corporate governance and our triple bottom line, we need to do outreach and community projects. We need to train their staff. We bring in HR here again. We need to talk about ethics, and we can talk about the utilitarian method instead of the consequence, and thinking what's best for business and what's best for the community where we are going to. Yes, it'll benefit us. We always want to benefit the business. But can we expand and improve our own standing along with those in the business, in the country that we are expanding into? So, you see, when it comes to ethics, you could talk about any part of ethics. You could talk about the triple bottom line, you can talk about King codes, you can talk about integrated reporting, transparency, accountability, independence, whatever. Yeah, I'll link it back, and I spoke a bit about it earlier, about hiring Zimbabwean employees, hiring people that are familiar with the business structures in Zimbabwe. Again, HR is not just a thing of, oh, let's hire whoever's the best. We got to know what certain skill sets do we need. We need someone with experience in the Zimbabwean market. Okay? In South Africa, my uncle, for example, works in the bank and he knows how, or he deals with Middle Africa. So he's experienced dealing, it doesn't matter if he's not in clothing, he has experience dealing with the cultures. There's a pestle factor, is social. What are the social norms? I don't know very much about Zimbabwe, but I know working with the Middle East and Eastern countries, their norms are very different to us in South Africa. In South Africa, if you show up 2 minutes late, no one bats an eyelid. If you show up 2 minutes late in Japan, they'll tell you to go home. So you've got to know the norms. Now we link that to pestle, the social norms. We can't control their norms. We can't change them. So we've got to adapt to them. Okay? You've got to think about marketing, market research. HR and market research go hand in hand because we got to do market research. We've got to make sure. As I said, they've got the two. They've got the express stores opening up because of the poorer part. But there are portions of Zimbabwe that are actually doing quite well. And that's where they're bringing in the Turkish type of clothing and the more expensive type clothing. So do you see, whenever it comes to these types of try and do this for everything that you got, even if you write 2 sentences for each. When you study this, you can't just say, oh, I'll go in with these 5 things and I'll think about it when I get there. You don't have time. You know you don't have time. So, what you've got to try and do is try and go in with the game plan. Please do not try and rehearse what you're going to say and just write it down word for word. But you've got a framework now, and you can work with it for everything and use the notes that I've given you to try and help you push you in the right direction. If you've got one, let's say you're struggling with one and you can't think of it. Either you, those of you that have me on Teams, yeah, if you're from somewhere else, the video straight out elsewhere, drop a comment in the description, or in the comment section, and I'll read it and I'll respond there and everyone can see. Okay? Sometimes it's difficult. As I say, insurance and investment are quite difficult to often link, but we can work together and everyone can help find a way to make sure that you nail the application. 5, 6, 7. Have a great day, everyone. Cheers.